I'm Stephanie, and this is my Flourish story. So the desert season has been a long one because for me, the desert is this depressed state that I was in for a very long time. And depression creeped in when I was 11. I became suicidal. I remember definitely having suicidal thoughts when I was 12. A lot of that had to do with bullying I received. It had to do with a really messy divorce my parents went through that almost split the church that we were a part of. So I lost any community that I had, in a sense. The depression lasted really most of my life from that point. I had these lies of you're a waste of space, or you're not even worth the groceries that your mom spent. You shouldn't even eat those. Or the only person who loves you is Jesus. So I would have thoughts of, well, at least if I die, I can go be with the one person that loves me. And when I went to college, I had a better time. I found a group of friends that I really could be myself with, and I met Keith, and I was distracted by things I was doing in ministry. I was distracted by all these good things happening while I was in college. Got engaged to Keith, got married to Keith, got my degree. Things were going well, and I still had no self-esteem, still believed those lies, but I was able to just kind of push them away and be distracted by life. We were going to this big church up in Northeast Alabama, and the worship leaders at that church sent my husband and I to start a worship team at this small church that had come to them asking for help. So we went to this little church and started building a worship team, and we're leading the worship team. And some things happened while we were there that we didn't really agree with, and we went to the pastor with, and Keith made some mistakes, there were mistakes made, and we ended up, we left that church, but we also were not wanted at that point. I just fell so deep into that depression, and because I didn't have all those good distractions anymore, and our marriage was not doing well, I was not doing well, and then we found out that we were pregnant, we were starting a family. And I knew that I didn't want to raise my family there. I wanted to raise my family in Pensacola and finally be at Jubilee, because we were still living in Northeast Alabama. But I still wasn't really healing. I still believed those lies. And I spent the next several years just surviving but not thriving, still in that desert place. And I would keep trying to go to God because I knew that I was not okay. And there were some people in my life that knew I wasn't okay, but it seemed like every time I went to God and I would pray for healing, I might feel a little better, but nothing was really breaking. And last year at the conference, I had been on antidepressants, but the side effects were too much and I had to come off of them. And I'd been off of them for like a month. And my doctor wanted to try another one. And I said, well, I told my doctor, I have a women's conference coming up, and I'm going to go to Jesus with this. And we had this one night at the conference when we were just all on our faces. It was when Cammie Cantu was like, I just need everyone to lie down and just be silent with the Lord. And while on my face, something broke in me and I felt it. And when I stood up, I literally felt physically lighter. And over the next few days, it was like I didn't even fully realize everything that had happened. I was like, am I healed? But then over the next few days, I started realizing these lies are not connected to me like they were before. Like, I can look at these lies and be like, no, I don't believe that. I don't have to believe that. Whereas before it was like I couldn't separate myself from them at all. I have gone from no self-esteem to seeing who God calls me and seeing that where He's placed me, there are people in my life that are walking that out with me. My garden season now looks like, instead of seeing myself in this awful light of I can never do this. If I try this, I'll just fail. I'm going to disappoint the people around me. Instead, I'm feeling like God is saying, hey, I've got you, that there's people around me that are going to help me through it. It's easier just to get out of bed in the morning. Some things that I can do now that I couldn't do before are if someone says, hey, I need you to give a testimony, I'm not freaking out over it like I did before. My daughter this morning reminded me, well, Mama, don't you have stage fright? And I was like, it doesn't matter, because I know what God's asking me to do, and I don't feel bound. I feel free to do what He's asking me to do and to not let fear change my mind. Before, if God said, I need you to speak this word over this person, I don't feel like I'm not qualified to do that. I can step forward and do the things He's asked me. Before, when I was in the desert place, everything was heavy, everything was dark, everything was difficult. And now, I mean, my physical health is better, my mental health is better, and my spiritual health. All of it is just so much lighter and easier in His presence. This last Freedom Weekend, we actually had a few moments where we called people up that needed healing from church hurt. I was able to go to God with it, and He helped me to look back on those hurts and those things that happened, and instead of see the hurt and feel the hurt, He was saying, but look what you still did. Look at this good thing that you did in the midst of that. Look at how you allowed me to work here. And He highlighted the God things over the wrong things. When I was asked to do the art project for Freedom Weekend, I went to God with it and said, what do you want me to do? And He said, abide in me. I was like, okay, how does that work on a painting? And I remembered in John chapter 15, where He talks about abide in me as I abide in you. And He talked about He is the vine, we are the branches, and looking at the fruit that we bear because we are connected to Him as the vine. I felt like we needed to realize that part of our identity and who God calls us to be means that we are fruit bearers, and that fruit will look like the fruit of the Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, all these things that were so difficult for me to really walk out in my daily life while I was still living in that desert place, that now in this garden place is easy because I am rooted in Him. I am connected to the vine. The Lord will comfort Israel again and have pity on her ruins.